Hey, what's going on? So this is video is going to be a little bit longer, and this is going to be how do you analyze and interpret the cracks you have in your home. Maybe you don't need an engineer to come look at these cracks after we're done with this video. Maybe you're like, I know what causes crack after you watch this video, and it will show you pretty much most types of cracks that are problematic or not problematic in your home, and mostly foundation. And so, here's just a crack with a moisture meter, and let's say we don't need a moisture meter to do this, okay? So we don't need any fancy equipment. Now that's a reinforced concrete. Couple things. Reinforced concrete walls are the strongest walls on this planet. I mean, they rarely have horizontal cracks or step cracks. They have vertical cracks. You know why? Because concrete shrinks. If you don't have cracks in concrete walls, you got special concrete, or you put like fibers in it to give it tensile strength. Okay, so yes, you will get cracks. They're not structural. Now they leak. Then you got epoxy, repair them, especially if you want to finish your basement. And like here's a leak that looks like a leak, right? That's not a leak. You know what that is? That's where the concrete truck was dumping concrete to do the basement, and that was just water leaking down. So that was a stain from construction. So a lot of times people, you have to interpret what they are. The concrete had to get to that basement somehow. Okay, so sometimes the cracks are dry and they only leak when it rains, when the gutters overflow, or maybe the grading is poor too. Builders don't compact the soil settles, the gutters overflow, water leaks down, hits the crack, leaks to the crack. Again, leaks in your basement, right? So you got epoxy the crack. And I hear, obviously, this here leaks. So this one leaks all the time. And it might be a problem. This one here would be epoxy injection, $600, $800. Now, don't be calling the waterproofer. He's going to come and rob you. Oh, you need a waterproofing system, $25,000. No, man. You just need to fix this crack, epoxy injection, okay? Look it up, okay? There's an example of a wall crack that was patched. Okay, and now there's an example of cracks patches that don't work. They might work. There's a homemade. So you go to a house, you see this, and there's still moisture there. Well, the crack it's not sealed. It got to be sealed all the way through. Sometimes you got to dig it up outside and waterproof from the outside just to crack, and then epoxy the crack. Now here's a wall. Now this is kind of different. Here's something you're not going to do. You're not going to have an R meter like I got, and you're not going to have any equipment to look for steel. So sometimes you have horizontal cracks in masonry block because it's under design. It was the wrong size. It was 8 inches instead of 12, and a wall crack. And a builder is supposed to put rebar in because the blueprint said so. And then you get somebody like me to go look for that rebar, and we use special equipment. No rebar here. That's why it cracked. But you're not going to do that. You got a horizontal crack. We got a problem. We don't need to get all crazy. Okay, and that's again thermal imaging. This is epoxy injection. Okay, we'll keep there. That's how you do epoxy injection, crack repairs, and reinforced concrete walls. Not masonry walls, not terracotta tiles, only concrete. Okay. All right. So now you see light coming through the wall. Hey, we got a problem. This is differential settlement. This could be a lot of times caused by the soil underneath the footer wasn't settled. It was muddy. It wasn't compacted. That's a soil issue where it settles, and then you got to underpin your footer. So then you do got to dig up this corner, and you got to dig underneath the footer, and you got to underpin it. Maybe $4,000 repair, not necessarily a whole basement job. So know what kind of crack you have, know the history of your house, know the history of your foundation. Okay, kind of put it together. Okay, now that's out of focus. And a lot of times outside, you'll see patches. Like, well, they patched it 3 times, and it's cracked again. Not rocket science, it's moving. Okay, differential settlement. You might have to do some foundation underpinning. Underpinning means you basically go down the footer, the thing your house sits on, dig around it and add more to it so you can have more support with the soil, more bearing pressure. Underpinning, okay? Or they'll underpin the whole footer to keep it from moving, okay? And there's different ways of doing it. You see these kind of repairs where they patched it one time, and then they patch it again, and then you can see the crack forming, so it's still moving, right? So you have active issues here. Step cracks, see how wide that is, and they patched it. They even parged it with that waterproof. That stuff you buy that waterproof your basement walls don't work. Look how good it's working here. Doesn't work. It's a soil problem, a foundation problem, the footer's settling, and it could be because your gutter's overflowing. You could have caused this problem, or you put a big dumpster next to your house and cleaned out your house, and the weight of the dumpster did, or a big truck pulled up to it, or you got a tree too close and the roots are doing it. So there's all kind of stuff you want to look at. That's a horizontal crack. That's what happens. You can see how the soil pushes the wall. That's why walls are bowed. All right. Yep, that's my hand saying, up, the wall's bowed, okay? Now, that's a crawl space. Now, here's what happens. See the old house here? Let's turn it this way here. There. So this is your original foundation. The basement's on the inside of the wall. And then here they dug this up to put this crawl space on. Well, guess what? The soil down here isn't compacted because there's at least 4 feet of fill from this foundation they put in. Guess what? It's settled. It wasn't compacted. So what happened here? Now this is going to cost a little bit of money to fix, right? I mean, it's definitely going to cost money to fix, and you're going to have to underpin it, and you might even have to rebuild this wall, okay? Efflorescence. Now here, sometimes you have a house, and you're like, well, I don't know if there's a footer. It's a crawl space. It's an old century home. You can get these rods, this rod here, and you can see he's going to push that rod down at a certain angle, and if he hits the footer, he'll know if there's a footer below the frost line. So that's a probe. You'd have to buy one of those, okay, to make it work. See how he's probing down? Now, if you start pulling caulking out of the crack, you know, horizontal cracks, horizontal cracks, horizontal cracks. Now, these are repairs. And I don't like this repair because these are channel repairs. They're not that strong. A lot of times those just bend. The wall keeps bending. Now, the wall's not going to collapse, but it's all about how you fasten that up top, how it's fastened up top, and usually how it's fastened down below usually goes into the concrete. But those aren't as strong as I-beams. I would say I-beams are better. Bowed wall, bowed wall, bowed wall, leaking wall, differential settlement. We just saw that. And then we saw that on the inside. That means that the footer below needs to be fixed. Oh, here. Wait, back it up, back it up. Look, what's wrong here? Oh, the gutter is disconnected. So the water's going right in that basement. And it's causing the footer below to soften. And it's moving again and still settling. All right? Big cracks. Stick your finger in. And you can see this crack has been patched a couple times. And it's still moving. All right? Vertical cracks. Now, here's a great sign. This is a big secret. Okay, ready? I'm going to tell you a big secret. Now, if you go to an outside and you see a vertical crack close to the gutter and downspout on the corners, see the corner right there? Sometimes the crack is right here, right here, right here, or right here. And you see the same vertical crack on the other wall, guess what? You got a bowed wall. A lot of times those basement walls are finished with drywall. But you know now that if you got these two cracks on the outside, you got the horizontal crack on the inside. And guess what? And your basement smells musty. Yeah, water's leaking in those cracks behind the drywall, and that mustiness is mold growing behind your drywall. So, you know, think about these things, okay? I've done, like I said, 18,000 inspections. So I've seen this more than one time. More than one time. And you see patch cracks that don't work, okay? And sometimes, this was hard to find. So basically, I see this little crack right in here, okay? So, you know, the walls are finished. I see the cracks outside, and a real estate, and I tell the wall, hey, that wall's cracked. You got a structural problem, and all of a sudden the real's like, how do you know? You can't see it. I'm like, what do you mean? How do I know? I know. And she got a big pissing match with her, and of course it was a client that hired me, not from realtor's referral, okay? So I was going to say, okay, I'm going to find this. So I went to the center of the wall. I opened up a closet. There was a panel on the wall. I removed the panel, and I showed him the crack, and I said, see, I told you, a horizontal crack all the way across that wall. Big problem, okay? And so, of course, my client's like, no, we got to fix this wall. You know, something like that's going to cost $6,000 to put support columns in, and it was leaking because the basement stunk like musty, so I knew there was mold back there, so the drywall had to come down, maybe even waterproof the wall, and so, you know, they wouldn't, my client walked. It wasn't going to deal with this $6,000 to $10,000 problem. And of course, this agent found another home inspector, and they bought the house without this. And guess what happens later? Yeah, they're going to call the real estate agent, say, hey, your inspector missed this, and you know what the real estate's going to do? She's going to throw that inspector right under the bus, because that's what they do, under the bus. Call your inspector. You know what? Yeah, call your inspector, sure. But you know what? When you sue them for $10,000, you're going to sue them for non-disclosure. You're going to go for the agent, because they always got a couple grand. The home inspector's always got a couple grand. Now, you might not get the whole deal. And if you sue them, all the lawyers will talk. They'll cut a deal, and you might get some of your money. You're still gonna get screwed, but that's the way it is. So nobody's looking out for you, man. Nobody's looking out for you. You gotta look out for yourself today. You're not gonna have a 4-foot level either. I got 4-foot, 6-foot levels, and here you can see the wall's patched, the wall's bowed, the wall's patched, bowed. It's cracking, and you can see outside the step crack that was patched by the mortar. They just did it. Oh yeah, the disclosure. Oh, we had some outside brick cracks. We patched it. Whoa, wait a minute. Go look at those cracks. See where they patch it. Go in the basement, analyze it. Is it temporary? Was this a superficial repair? So maybe you need a second opinion. Okay. Here you can see the crack just open up because there's no paint in the crack. So yeah, that's a new one. Okay, you move in and that happens. Maybe you should have cleaned your gutters. Maybe the walls are under design. Oh, by the way, I have a service. This is a YouTube channel. It's Clevelandmarko, M-A-R-K-O, one word, Clevelandmarko. I probably have, 800-900 videos. And you could just go in the search bar, look what you're looking for. I probably got a ton of videos on foundations and moisture states. But I do have a service on Google. Just Google, call Marko with a question. It'll prompt you. Marko's with a K, M-A-R-K-O. Call Marko with a question. $29. And we'll solve your house problem. You can send me pictures of this and this and that. I may ask for this picture, that picture. I may ask you a bunch of questions. And if you can't have anybody figure out your problem, I'm pretty good at this. I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm an engineer, 18,000 inspections, environmental, lead, whatever. Anything to do with buildings, houses, anomaly, stains, moisture, animals, pests, wood boring, whatever. We'll solve your problem for you on the phone. Also below, I have some products. Maybe you want a crack monitor to see how big the crack, I don't know. But I'll have all that down there below. I'm an Amazon affiliate. So check out some of my products below. And if it's not on there, just go and make sure you're in my link below and you type in what you need. This way I get 1%. It's not a lot of money, but whatever, it helps. Also rate, subscribe, call Mark with a question, ring the bell. We're not done yet. I just had to throw that in there because I forget sometimes. So now, here's a crack up top, and you can see rotation. It's not level. Sometimes now, if you see this crack, it's on a garage wall. It's not that big. It's right where the concrete meets. A lot of times it's from the garage concrete. No expansion joint, no control joint. Probably going to be fine. So sometimes horizontal cracks aren't a big deal. That one is because that's actually rotating. Okay, and you know what a way you can tell without any crazy equipment is you take a string, tie it anywhere to the joist above, put a weight on the bottom of it, let it settle, and then measure it. Doesn't matter where you put the string, and measure it like from the top and the bottom. You'll see how much the wall moved, and you'll know right. Sometimes you can't see it, but here's me doing a test, and matter of fact, I didn't even have a tape measure, so I just used an electrical testing gauge. I happened to have a string in my car, and then I used the scraper because it was I had that for my lead kit, and you see the string right here next to the screw. I move it up, and if the string's over here, see the red tape? It's right there. That thing moved 2 inches. You don't even need. Who needs equipment? You make up your, MacGyver equipment. That's a MacGyver, but it didn't matter. Oh, here we go. Now this is not a real crack. Okay, if you notice, see, I'm pointing to a crack right here in the wall. Let's look at it. It's a picture. It's a shelf, and the cracks are put in for looks. See, that's a fake crack. These things, sometimes these are okay. I don't like them because sometimes the crack just moves. These are tiebacks. Sometimes you need torque wrenches to torque these. There's a couple different type, like this one here. See how that holds the wall back? I'm not real big on these, but they do work. Some companies install them. That's a channel. I like I-beams, and I have other videos on I-beams. Okay, sometimes you got to replace. Look at this. They had to replace this wall here, and because it was just so bad. I don't like these things. These things do nothing for rotation and shear. So this wall can still tip, and it could shear. Okay, so a lot of these waterproofing companies will sell these things, and it supposedly distributes the loading, but I'm not a big fan of them. Okay. And then you got interior waterproofing systems. Then you got these systems, same kind of idea. And it does help, but this wall can still move. This wall can still move this way, and this wall can still shear below. Okay, and you can see this is the waterproofing company. See the waterproofing membrane they put, the interior system, and they like to put these things up. They'll charge you like $6. Now that might work, but I would rather see column supports. Now that doesn't work. Now, this is a dummy. So this guy says, they think it's the house that's causing it. It's not. So they support the house, put a beam underneath it, and they say, okay, now it's in the walls. It's not the wall, it's the soil. You saw the picture earlier. This is stupid. Guy has no clue what he's doing, okay? Maybe you don't have to hire an engineer, but, I'm not saying you got to be an engineer to fix walls. A lot of realists, you got to have an engineer to fix the wall because he's an engineer. No, you don't. Somebody that knows what they're doing. This guy has no clue what he's doing, okay? This is an engineer. I don't have a problem with this, except I don't like the fact he used a channel. I'd rather see an I-beam and here, but he see how he blocked it. See how he blocked it? And there's all kind of ways of blocking, okay? And so blocking is very important. And you can see an I-beam. I like this repair, okay? And you can see how the wall's bowed, and that's a straight line. That'll keep it from moving, okay? It might bow a little bit, okay? That's a crack monitor repair. You can just glue those to the wall and see if it moves, and it's nice visual aid. But horizontal cracks, and then you do it right with grip tight. Everyone's got the better mousetrap, okay? The better mousetrap. Now look at this guy. This is in Cleveland. This is a tower. He's a preacher, and he built this tower. And on the top of the tower, he's going to put some kind of observatory restaurant. And guess what? They never finished the project. This tower's still sitting there because the engineer screwed up. They didn't do it. They didn't do the load capacity, the live load capacity. How many people are going to be up in there? So this thing's just sitting there doing nothing. Mold. Leaks cause mold. Terracotta tile. Sometimes the terracotta doesn't crack, it bows, okay? Sometimes masonry block, you can see it. It's finished, it's painted. These things don't really work that good. That's a pier. A lot of times the crack goes right through that pier, okay? So that's another thing that doesn't work that well, our piers. That's reinforced concrete that leaks. We're gonna have to epoxy inject that. Now look at this one. This is a hill. The hill goes down that way, and this is slippage. So there's a whole nother problem. The land's moving. Whole nother issue. I don't have a problem with those cracks. Drywall cracks, even the cracks that lift up in your hallways in your second floor. I got a videos on called truss lift, caused by missing clips. So what? Unless you want to live in a perfect world and you can't deal with a crack. Sometimes cracks, just live with them. They're big. Like this crack here, I ain't worried about this crack. Somebody is. Tape tears, they gotta get pretty bad before I'm worried about them. This is shear. This whole foundation failed. Instead, they filled it all in with cement. Big problem. That's horizontal. I'm not worried about that. That's a vertical crack in reinforced concrete. Poor grading. Oh, guess where that water's gonna go? Okay, there's your cliff, and we do a lot of sides where the hills are moving on people. Big problem. There's a wall that's been replaced. These work. They're not the greatest. I like column supports, I-beam supports. I have other videos on it. There's another one of these. Now, terracotta tiles, there's 3 layers of those. That's what a foundation usually looks like. Sometimes there's 2 of those or 3. A lot of the older homes. Okay? And so this is interesting. So this is different. We had a whole city where they poured concrete, and these concrete driveways pushed the back wall of the garage and caused a crack in the basement. And so basically the way they fixed these was, see what it did, it would call, hang on, let's back up here. So that wall would move, and this would move, the driveway would move this plat, and that would push the wall. And basically that's how they fixed it. All they did was cut it across and put expansion joints like every 10 feet. And guess what? It fixed it. A lot of times there's very easy ways of fixing problems. Okay? Interior waterproofing system, we have other videos on that. Check those out. You can see how that's an interior. You know what I like about these interior systems? Because that's connected to the ground. What if you got radon? What if you got negative pressure? What if you have cold air return duct leakage? Now you're sucking the stone odor and the moisture that's in there that you put in. So now you communicate with the ground. So I'm not a real big fan of these things. Okay, these gutter systems for interior waterproofing. If you're going to do interior waterproofing system, I recommend sealing the whole thing on top. So if you do have negative pressure, you're not sucking the soil below. You're not sucking the stone odor, the moisture. And the moisture is high humid, high vapor pressure. Now you got condensation on windows, and windows are rotten. You got mold, you got carpenter ants. So, you know, they fix one problem and create another. I think waterproofing is the best on the exterior. Interior, certain systems, as long as they don't communicate. So check it out, okay? That's shearing. That's the worst kind of crack to have. That means your whole foundation is moving, okay? And so you can repair this with a grade beam, columns, or rebuild the wall. So anyways, hey, below I have some links. Check it out on products. Also, if you have house problems, like I said earlier, just Google Call Marko with a question. Call Marko with a question. Please rate, subscribe, and is this buggy head going back and forth? I'm in a rocking chair. Rocking chair. Anyways, the bell. Hit the bell for future videos. And call Clevelandmarko is my site. www.houseinvestigations.com is my website. And you could Google Call Marko with a question. Hey, thanks for coming on.